So, hello and welcome to My Cancer Journey. This is a podcast of my journey, but also to bring in the wisdom of those who help and support so many people. And today I would like to welcome back my dear friend and colleague, Marcus Fernandez. And Marcus is a homeopath, an author, and a podcast person. He is passionate advocate of taking charge of one's own health. His mission is inclusive and uncomplicated to enhance the health and well-being of mankind. He believes that all healing wisdom we have is within us, and we can tap into this wisdom through using homeopathy and other natural approaches. Helping people to make connections between their mind, body and spirit. His integrative approach to health is accessible and easy to incorporate into busy everyday lives. Founder and principal of the Centre of Homeopathic Education and author of Homeopathy at Home. Welcome back, Marcus.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Good. I start all of the podcasts by asking the guests to share things that you do, 3 things that you do on a regular basis for your own health and well-being.
Okay. Well, wow. I do more than 3, but yeah, I'll pick my top 3.
Okay.
The top one for me really is, well, actually, I've got 4. Can I have 4?
You can have 4.
Because I think I may have talked about this in the last podcast, but I have a thing called MEDS, an acronym, MEDS, which is stands for meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. And I call those the main pillars of health and well-being, which people can do in their everyday lives. I think meditation is a cornerstone of especially around mental health, but also for the immune system. There's thousands now of studies showing the effects of meditation on the immune system and on health and well-being, and also mental health as well. And it's a cornerstone for me. I've done it for 30 years. And meditation means different things to different people. Some people call it mindfulness. It depends whatever it means to me. But for me, it's sitting still, being quiet, closing my eyes, and not focusing on the world, just more focusing on the world inside rather than the world outside. So I think, and the thing about meditation is like the most simple thing to think of doing, but actually it's the most difficult to put into practice on a consistent basis. And this is the key. It's about consistency, not sitting down, meditating every day for 2 hours. It's about just doing it and sitting at the same time if you can. I do mine in the evening, where you just sit, close your eyes, and be still and connect to who you really are, not who we think we are, but who we really are. Sometimes you'll sit down, you're thinking, I'm in a really great space. I'm really feeling it. I'm feeling so connected. I'm going to meditate for 2 hours. And within 3 or 4 minutes, it's like, no, I've got to give up. The monkey mind's taken over. And then sometimes you think, I don't really want to sit. I'm really stressed, this and that. And you sit down and you'll have a good half an hour deep meditation, which you don't want to come out of. So my message to everybody is just, if you're new to it, just do it on a regular basis. And I tell you now, within 30 days, you'll be a hell of a lot better at it than you were on day 1. So the consistency. Second thing is exercise, movement. However you do that, I think it's crucial. It's not just about going to the gym. It's also moving in the daytime. I think it's much more in people's awareness now. But for example, I have a standing desk that I'll move up and down. I was just contemplating, should I have it when we started the podcast? But I've been standing up this morning. So I tried to mix and match it. But also just going for a walk. Just going for a walk around the block, come back. Just that activity of movement. But also I feel it is important to do exercise more in a formal, structured way. Like I do strength training. I'm 54 now. It's important as you get older to do strength training, to maintain muscle, to maintain strength, which people forget. It's like a lot of time with elderly people, often they will often have a fall and not be able to, often get very hurt by it. They can break their hips or damage themselves. And often falling is, and they go out to try to grip something and they don't have the grip strength. So that's often why people really damage. If you do lift weights, if you do strength exercises, it also helps your grip as well. And grip strength is now a big key marker for longevity. So I think it's important. The next thing is diet and nutrition. Eat real food. I talk about this a lot because people ask me, well, what shall I eat? What shall I do with my diet? And I say, start off eating real food. And people go, well, what's real food? I mean, it boggles me sometimes. And I say, well, if your grandmother wouldn't recognize it, it's not real food, right? It comes out of a box. It comes from a factory. It's processed. 80% of what we eat should be real food. Okay. You can cheat the 20%, but go for 80% if you can. I think it's really, really crucial. And then last one, sleep, and probably the most important one of all time. And I've just become the sleep ninja. It's like I prepare for sleep. I don't eat 2 hours before a meal. These really simple things that everybody can do, but we don't. We eat late, and if you eat late, then your body has to digest your food, which means your heart rate will stay high, which means then you won't go into deep sleep. And deep sleep is where we, such an important part of our 24-hour cycle, because that's where we the cerebrospinal fluid acts on the brain and cleans out the system, but also it's where we repair. So if you don't get deep sleep, then you will feel it the next day. You'll feel groggy, like a hangover. We need to focus on sleep. And that means our bedroom should be a sanctuary, no electronic devices within the bedroom, no sleeping with a mobile phone in your head, which a lot of people do. It's got to be a place of peace and tranquility and dark and a lower temperature. So you go into a deep sleep, which is really crucial. So they're my four. They're the top four,
Okay.
Joe.
Marvelous. Thank you for sharing that. And particularly on the sleep matter, I know you probably do too, but I see so many people who are really struggling to sleep.
Yeah.
And, that is key. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely key. And it's the most neglected. It really is. And you can't get sleep back. There's a great book by Dr. Matthew Walker called Why Do We Sleep? And I would recommend everybody to read that book. It's such a great book. And like the clocks have just gone back now. It's like this has an effect. That hour gain of sleep. I know we've gained it, but it knocks a whole system out. Just like when the clocks go forward. In fact, when the clocks go forward, there's a spike on the Monday morning of heart attacks. There's a spike. So, I mean, I'm not just, that's real, look at the research. So that 1 hour, there's that 1 hour difference, or, losing it or gaining it can have a huge effect on our sleep. Even though I'm so conscious of sleep, even now I'm still feeling the effects of that time change last week. I still feel it. I'm still feeling it a little. So, really important.
Thank you. So for those who may not have listened to My Cancer Journey before, could you please share with the listeners your reason why you got into homeopathy?
Well, yeah, it's a long story, but it's not a long story, but there's a short version and a long version. But basically, I knew nothing about homeopathy. I wasn't brought up with homeopathy. We, came from a very working class family. You got sick, you went to the doctors, you took what they take. Even as a kid, you hated going or taking the medicine. See, kids always know. They always know what's right. So I wasn't brought up with it at all. I was in a band. I wanted to be a rock and roll star. And so that's what I did in my teenage years and late teens. I was into music and we gigged a lot, and the band was great. We had a great time and living the rock and roll lifestyle, hedonistic lifestyle. And then at age, I was around 20 years of age, and we were supposed to do a tour of we were doing a tour of Germany, but I needed some money before I went, and I didn't have any money, being a poor musician as usual. You only got paid when you did gigs, so I had to get some money together, and the only job I could get at the time was working in a nursing home. That was the only job I could get. It was the recession of the very early 90s, and I couldn't get a job. So working in a nursing home, I have to point out, was like the furthest thing away from me of being at that age of where I wanted to work. But there's the only place I could get a job. So I started working there. And the first week I was there, and I only planned to be there about 4 or 5 weeks just to get enough money together. I was there a week, and I was having a coffee in the coffee room, and I was talking to one of the nurses, and she started talking, and she was saying, "Hey, Marcus, I think you'd make a great homeopath." And I never even heard that word before. Homeopath? What the hell does that mean? And she explained what a homeopath was, and I was saying, no, look, I'm only here for a few weeks when I'm in a band. I'm not really interested in, in that. She said, "Oh, I'm going to this open day. I think you should come with me." I said, no, really, seriously, I'm not. Because she was going to an open day because she was going to train to be a homeopath. And there was an open day at this college. Anyway, she said, "I think you should come with me." I said, no, absolutely not. No, I'm not interested. And I made my excuses and left. I mean, I was polite. I wasn't that sort of that mean. Anyway, so every time I saw her after that, she'd say to me, "Marcus, I think you should come with me to this open day. I've got a really strong feeling about it." I thought she was a bit crazy, if I'm honest. I thought, why the hell is she going on about this? And I thought maybe she's lonely. She wants somebody to go with her. Because she was probably about 40, and when I was that age, it seemed really old. So I thought maybe she's just lonely. I didn't know why. And in the end, just to shut her up, I said, "Right, I'll come with you to this open day, but I'm not signing up, right? I'm just going to be really clear. I ain't going to sign up." And then the day before this open day, I woke up with really terrible tonsillitis, and I used to just phone the GP up when you could go and speak to the GP in those days and go and see them and get antibiotics, which I normally did, and it would get rid of it, but they'd always come back. We'd never completely get rid of it. And I used to suffer from it a lot. So because I was a singer, I was also a smoker, and I was in smoky pubs and clubs and things like that. Anyway, so so I couldn't get in to see the GP. So I thought, right, I'm going to try this homeopathy stuff. So I got a bus into town, went to the local health food store, and I asked them, have you got any homeopathy? They said, yeah, at the back. So I went to the back, and there was all these bottles of pills, remedies, Weleda remedies. And there was a little pamphlet that went with it. And I remember looking at all these weird names like arsenic and pulsatilla. I hadn't even heard of arnica before, and there was arnica there. Nux vomica, I thought that's a great name for a band. And anyway, I found the remedy I thought would help me with this pamphlet, and it was called Gelsemium. And it had sore throats, it had a headache like a band rat. I thought, there, that sounds like me. Felt a bit achy. So I bought the remedy, went home, and I remember opening the bottle and looking at these little white pills, and I said to myself, if this works, then I'm going to go to the open day. If it doesn't work, I'm not going to go. So I popped a little white pill. Anyway, really within probably 5 or 10 minutes, I fell asleep. And I woke up about 2 hours later in the chair where I fell asleep, and I was absolutely soaking wet. It was like I just sweated like crazy. I thought, wow, that's powerful. Not sort of making the connection, but I knew something had happened there. And so I just took the remedy, all day, every couple of hours, took another dose. And I remember being in the pub, and I was in the pub with my friends. Crazy. I was 20. And I was sweating. My friends said, "God, you should be in bed. You look terrible." I said, "Yeah, but actually I feel all right in myself. I feel actually okay. Even though these symptoms were happening and my body was discharging, I actually felt good somewhere inside. I felt okay." Anyway, I woke up the next morning and completely disappeared. And I've never had tonsillitis since. And that was 34 years ago. And so I have to admit, I was pretty impressed by that. I was impressed by that because I knew something had happened within my body, and it really felt significant. But I couldn't really put it into words. I couldn't really articulate what that was. So I went to the open day. I was good in my word. I went to the open day with this lady. And there was the late, great Robert Davidson, who was the principal and founder of the college, talking about homeopathy, and he'd been using it for, 30-odd years. And he was talking about cases, and he was talking about remedies. And I remember listening to him and just really going very, very quiet inside, very still. And I never experienced that stillness like that before. It was like, it just went very quiet. My mind went very quiet. And what I felt was, I know that at some level, I knew what he was talking about was true. It was like I was hearing truth for the first time, real truth. And my first thought was, if this is true, and he's talking about, homeopathy around the world, and like 100 million people in India use homeopathy for their primary healthcare, and there used to be homeopathic hospitals in the UK and in America. And I thought, if this is true, how come the whole world doesn't know about it? And then my second thought came automatically was, I'm going to make sure the whole world does know about it. And that was it. I signed up, I didn't have the money to do that. I found the money. I worked 3 jobs, and the rest is history, and then didn't become a rock and roll star.
So I know that your mission is for homeopathy to reach everybody. And, I know there's the college, and I know that you still treat individuals, but what I really would love to share with the listeners is your book, Homeopathy at Home. Can you please share with the listeners this gem that you have created?
Yeah. So basically, my whole vision, and it's in the book as well, and what you touched on, is to enhance the health or being of humankind through the application education of homeopathy. So that came right from that moment that I heard about it, because I wanted people to know they have a choice around their healthcare. Okay, that there's different choices that we have, and the beautiful thing about homeopathy is it stimulates the body to heal itself. It's like a key to a lock, or like imagine a key to an ignition on a car. You turn the key, the engine goes, and then that's it. It just keeps going until it stops, until you have to turn the key again. And it's the same with us. All the healing wisdom we're ever going to need is within us, but we've just got to tap into that. We just got to tap into that. And I always use the analogy of the car dashboard. If the oil light flashes, it means there's something wrong in the engine. If you just take the bulb out of where the oil light is, or suppress the symptoms, there's still a problem in the car, and the car's going to break down, 3 or 4 miles down the road. We've got to go into the engine and fix it. Every symptom we have is the body's way of trying to tell us there's something wrong. But if you don't listen to your body when it whispers, you're going to listen to it when it screams. And this is my whole thing is about getting people reconnected to that healing wisdom within. We've all got it. We're all born with innate health. And often disease is a process. It's not just an event. It's taken time for things to come. It's taken time for the body to produce whatever it's producing. But fundamentally, it has that capacity to heal. We've just got to tap into that. And the more we do that, the stronger it becomes. The stronger our system, our immune system, whatever you want to call it, your chi in Chinese medicine, prana and Ayurveda, vital force in homeopathy, whatever that is, our vitality, that's what we've got to strengthen. So I actually wrote a book before this for Walida called The Home Prescriber, which would accompany all their remedies. So that's a full circle event for me. The first remedy I ever took was a Walida remedy, and then they approached me to write a book for it. And I did that during lockdown. It was a small book, just really like a little reference book for the remedies. And that got picked up by Hay House Publishers, who are now Hay House Penguin Random House. They got bought out by Penguin, a Random House. And they approached me and wanted to really get behind homeopathy and want me to write a book. And they wanted me to write a book, a bit like The Home Prescriber, but with more information in there. So this is what I wrote, Homeopathy at Home. And basically, it's a guide from A to Z. Starts off with acne and anxiety, athlete's foot bites and stings, and covers, headaches, hay fever, earaches, you name it, all the way to toothaches, travel sickness, warts and verrucas, things that happen, what we call acute things that happen, which you can use remedies for, which you can have in the home. Yeah. So I designed it so people could, I don't want people to put it on a shelf. I want people to be in people's kitchens. I want it to be dog-eared. I want people to write in it. I want it to have food stains on it. So it's being used. I just don't want it to be on a shelf. But so what I've done is got each one, for example, if I just look at, coughs, I have put the top 5 remedies, homeopathic remedies for coughs that you can take. And then what I've done, I made it in a very simple way so people can go there and say, oh, I've got that, I need that remedy. but also other home remedies, things you can find in the kitchen cupboard. Everything from making, thyme, having a thyme tea or steam inhalation with thyme, to honey tea as well, using eucalyptus oil, turmeric golden milk, how to make this milk with turmeric in it, a pinch of black pepper. Just so all these other things we can find in our kitchen cupboards. So it's really just a go-to guide for people if they want to treat themselves naturally before running to the doctors or running to because there's lots of things we can do at home
Yeah.
before we need help.
And where can people get a copy of this book, Marcus?
Amazon, you can get it on Amazon. It's number one bestseller now on Amazon. But any good bookstores, Waterstones sell it. I mean, it depends where people are listening from.
Yeah.
But probably Amazon's going to be your best because you can get it worldwide, then all over the world.
Yeah, amazing. And also, as a listener, if you would like to enter a prize draw to win one of 2 signed copies of the book, then please do just send your email address and that will be drawn on the 30th of November. So yes, to win a copy of the Homeopathic at Home.
Homeopathy at Home.
Yeah, at home book. Yeah. Please do, enter the prize draw. Just on that, quickly, Marcus, if I could ask another quick question.
Yeah.
If somebody at home wanted to have a little kit,
Yes.
Is there such a thing as a...
Yes. So the book, you can buy homeopathic remedy kits. In fact, I've got a kit here, just as an example. And what these are, you can buy it from the homeopathic pharmacy, Helios or Ainsworth's, and they have all the remedies in here. So a lot of the remedies, most of the remedies in the book will be in these remedy kits. So I would suggest if you buy the book, definitely go and get yourself a kit. I said that's from Helios Pharmacy. But also there's Ainsworth kit as well, Ainsworth Pharmacy. That's really, really useful to have at home. Or because they're quite small and compact, you can put them in your bag and carry them with you. Yeah. So, if you go away and things like that. So, yeah, these little kits are brilliant alongside the guide, the book with it.
Brilliant. I'll share the details of that as well with the podcast so that you know where you can get your homeopathic kit. Now, that threads beautifully into the fact that this time last year, I cycled from Vietnam to Cambodia for Breast Cancer Now to raise money for them. And I took my homeopathic kit with me. Most people took loads of medicines. I took my homeopathic kit, but I also took Marcus. Now, that sounds a bit random, but I'm going to let Marcus explain how I managed to take him away on this amazing trip and how beneficial and useful Ask Marcus was. So please do share, Marcus.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, I created a AI clone about 18 months ago, which is because, a lot of the time, because I have patients and clients all over the world, and you can't always be available, especially for acute things like coughs, colds, those sort of things. So I invented this AI clone, and I'm very clear that it is a clone. It's not me. So basically what you can do, in fact, I'll show you an example of it, because often they say a picture says 1,000 words. If you go into my website, marcusfernandez.com, you'll see there's a little bubble. Just go back. There's a little bubble. Oh, gone too far. These things never work, do they? You want them to. There's a little orange bubble which pops up on my website. There you go. Here you go. So this is called Ask Marcus. So basically, you can ask me any question about homeopathy. So, for example, you could say, "Hi, Marcus. I have a cold ever since I went swimming." Okay. So now this is based on all my 2 books, my podcasts, my videos, lectures that I've done. And so it's just based on that. So swimming can definitely be colds. So it's telling you about the clothes. How do you feel? Achy or tired? What makes your symptoms better or worse? So it's asking you more questions about it than we can decide what remedy to give. And here you can see where it's also referenced. So you can see where the top tips are coming from. So that one's coming from a podcast, for example. So you can see I have streaming tears from my eyes and nose, and I feel I feel cold, for example. So it will then start coming up with some examples of what remedy you can take. So here we go. So it's saying there's euphrasia, allium cepa. So it's telling you what the difference between these two remedies are. So it works really, really well. The other thing you can do, you can also phone me as well. So with this, you'll be able to hear this. Hi, just checking in. Have you decided on the shingles vaccine yet? If you'd like, we can go over some remedies to support you either way. So there you go. So that would have been from a previous conversation. And obviously, So it basically, you can just basically speak to me and chat with me, or you can even WhatsApp me as well. So you can WhatsApp me, and it does it in any language. So people are just finding it really, really useful to use. And like I said, I have people saying to me, I was talking to you yesterday for 10 minutes about Johnny's fever, and it just gives you that information. Like I said, Joe, you've used it yourself, haven't you, on when you were away?
Yeah, it was invaluable actually for all sorts of, not only for myself, but for some of the other cyclists. And, it was the most incredible resource, because obviously when you're traveling light, yes, the book is invaluable, but just to have access to that as well, just to be able to get that quick kind of, what do I do? What would be better, this or that?
Yes.
Just invaluable.
And did you just, I'm of interest, did you use the voice one, or did you just use the text?
I used the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used the voice. In fact, when it was first shared with me, I let my husband listen to it. And I just said to him, just give an example of what's going on. And he was so stunned with it. He swore, I should say, he swore. And then the sympathetic voice came out saying, I know that this can be really stressful when you're not feeling right. And he's going, oh no, he's listening to me. But it's just the most amazing resource. And I think from all that you've shared today, Marcus, it is about giving everybody the resources, the tools, whatever you call it, for people to take a little bit of responsibility for their own health and well-being back.
Exactly.
Of surrendering it all the time.
Exactly.
Know that that's part of your whole mission, is to help people to have choices.
Exactly.
To have the options. So thank you for sharing that. And I hope that
pleasure.
Listeners find it really beneficial, and we'll share all of the information for them. And Marcus, I would really love it if you would come back in the...
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would be really great to explore, and we just spoke about this very briefly, when people are looking after those who are poorly or on their own cancer journey, then we've talked a lot about how we can support the patient, the person going through that. But I would love to really delve a little deeper in how we can support the carers.
Absolutely. Yeah, which are often forgotten. It's the people around us that because when you're going through something, you're going through it, it's your journey. But it's the people around and how they are, and how, if they're looking after themselves, and often their sleep can get affected if they're caring for somebody. The worry, the stress, all the anxiety, all that thing they're holding, because they're holding that space often for us, in order to heal, in order to go through that healing journey that we're going through. So absolutely, definitely, we'll come back and suggest some good remedies that people can take.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll see you in the spring. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.